Good afternoon, everybody. It is 2:03 p.m. On what is the date today?
We're late.
Yeah, we're late. We're late. We were talking too much about whatever. I don't know what we were even talking about, but we lost track of time. We're 3 minutes late, so I apologize. But who cares? April 9th, 2025. Welcome to the show. As you heard, I'm joined
2026.
Right,
You're
2026. Oh my God, it's already a mess.
Yep, you've ruined it.
AJ's here. AJ's here to keep me in
Even
check.
More of a mess.
To keep me in line. Welcome back. How have you been? What's going on? Share your feelings.
I'm doing all right. I've been working on the Ruck Twins game tape.
Correct.
Which I am hoping, well, I should have out for subscribers tonight. I've done the heavy lifting on it, and I just have to dress it up and make it look real pretty. So that's my job as an editor, and I think it will be pretty good. I was actually surprised how well this one turned out, because I was worried that with two people it would suck.
Yes. Yeah, no. I'm sure it'll be great. If you want access to it when it does come out, you will be on it will be available for Scouching subscribers. I put the link in the description tonight. There's going to be a report tomorrow. I'm going to be recording reports over the weekend probably, and then next week we'll have more coming out. I think we have another game tape in the works. So yeah,
once I get this one done,
yes,
we'll be
one
in
at
the
a
works.
time. Yes, one at a time. One at a
Vigo
time.
Bjork.
Yeah, Vigo. We got Vigo. Fresh off of his announcement that he's going to the U18s this year, so that's exciting.
Well, then I better get to work on that.
Well, I don't think they're for another few weeks. I think so. If it's done next week, you got tons of time.
Okay.
Let's see. When do they happen? I should probably know this because I've got to cover them.
Yes, you do.
World Hockey Championships.
See, this is how hard Will works. He just puts his nose and his head down, just watches as much tape as possible, and then it's time for a tournament that I should care about.
Yep. 12 days. There you go. Damn, that's faster than I thought. Okay. 22nd of April.
Well then, yeah, I got to turn this around quick.
22nd of April. There it is. All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, that's going to be exciting. Have any other rosters been released? I know Sweden put theirs out today. And Wiggo Sorensen, of course, is on it because he's sick and awesome and good at hockey. No, only Sweden has their roster out. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. Is there any other housekeeping? We had a Scouching report drop yesterday on Dax and Rudolph. Was that yesterday? Yes. So, yeah, if you want, you can go check that out. Dax and Rudolph is an interesting one from this year that, let's just say, I disagree with the world on him, but I think I outlined a pretty good case. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out.
Thank you, Rayanne, for editing that. I imagine he edited that?
No.
Or did you edit it?
He's only edited the first two, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow, so you're
he had
being
midterms.
a real big boy.
He had midterms, so now I think he's going to be back on the...
Okay, nice.
He'll be back on the horse, I think, for the next batch, so I'll start recording those soon. I mean, it's just... the ones that I'm ready to go on are some of the best players in the draft, and I don't want to do those right now. So we'll catch up on some others and farm out a whole bunch of them in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, when we hit the spike of channel growth, this is always, once we get into closer to the summer months, that's when we start pumping content out. And I'm really hoping that the laptop ban is lifted at my work, so I could pump out the recaps every single day, because that's what I would do. I'd go in the first couple of hours and just there'd be nothing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd just pump that stuff out and then get everything else done when it got sent to me. So
we've had some good hockey. We've had some good traffic the last few weeks. It seems like now that teams are getting eliminated from the playoffs, we're starting to see the mountaintop approaching. We're getting there. So now's the time to start farming, start harvesting. We've sown the crops for 6 months, or at least I have, and it's time to start harvesting. So one day at a time, but we're getting there, right down the stretch. And also, I mean, this year also we have a nice little tool, the bestest, most goodest NHL draft simulator. So you can get involved with that if you want. You can check it out. I put the link in the description. So if you want to simulate NHL drafts to your heart's content, you can do that. I do need to work on the multiplayer part, so that'll probably be this weekend as well when I'm recording stuff. But nevertheless, the solo mode definitely works. It's going to be a good time. Well,
and then we're going to put ads on it because we want more money.
Yes, we're going to put ads all over it. It's going to run like crap. And
it's still going to be the bestest, most goodest, spectacularist, phenomenalist tool you've ever used.
And,
so,
and we're going to make $8. And it's going to be worth
from
it.
the ads.
Yeah, we're going to make $8 on the ads, and it's going to be worth it.
It's going to be all gambling ads.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've crossed, I think I looked yesterday, like 5,600 individual people giving it a go, which is really, really cool.
Nice.
And I know a lot of people aren't making accounts and using it, which is fine. It's just that there's now like the user average column, so when people draft, it logs that information and whatever, but unless you have an account, it won't log it. So anytime people are drafting and they don't have an account, it doesn't feed into that user average, so things look a little bit strange. But I'm not going to complain. Thousands of people using a tool that I made is pretty cool, and I'm pretty excited about it. So.
Did you make it, or did AI make it, Will?
Yes. There you go. Yes.
I like that answer.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So as I mentioned, obviously the title of the show and the thumbnail, the rankings are out for subscribers at Scouching.ca. So if you want to read them, I got write-ups. The way it'll work is I have write-ups on all 108 players I have on my list. I think I put that in on the full version. But if you don't subscribe, you'll get the first 4 tiers, I believe, of full write-ups, and the rest will be summaries and images. So if you want detailed stuff with insights from my data that I track, the way to do it is you give me money, and you'll get access to videos and our Discord server.
Buy us a billion coffees.
Yeah, or I mean, if you buy us a billion coffees, you won't get. I mean, I'd give you an account probably if you bought us a billion coffees. So I guess you're right in that sense. But anyway, I'd
give you my soul.
Sure.
You bought us a billion coffees.
You'd sell your soul for a billion coffees?
Well,
not dollars, just coffee. Like that much coffee, you'd sell your soul?
No. I would sell my soul for $1 billion. Hell yeah.
Depends on what that entails, right?
Yeah, that's true.
It depends on what selling your soul actually means. Like, am I gonna, like, what do I have to put up with, right? Or if there is an afterlife, like, what's that like if I sell my soul, right?
There's no afterlife. I don't care. I'm fine. I'll be liberated.
I've died before. There's nothing. Yeah, no.
I've died before.
I haven't actually died before.
In Super Mario.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's like Super Smash Brothers. When you die, you just come right back, right? And you just have a life pool. Yeah, you have another go at it, right?
Exactly.
Anyway, let's see what our beloved viewers want to heave at us
viewers
this week.
That we are going to put ads on the draft.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna make a AI bot. I'm gonna write an AI bot that goes to my browser window, the Creator Studio page for our live shows, and just clicks the insert ad button every 8 seconds. And that's what we're gonna do. And we're gonna make $8, and it's gonna be really, really fun, and everyone's gonna love it. We're gonna do great.
And YouTube is going to make like
16
times that. Yeah, $16.
I think it's a 55% split that they take. So they take 55% of the ad revenue. I think that's what I remember. That's what it was last time I checked. I had the insight. So, but considering it's better than 0, I'll take it. But anyway, Austin showed up before the show started. What a crazy time. AJ's a Leaf fan. He's been dying all his life. I think that's kind of a fair assessment.
Hey,
there was a small period.
There was a sliver of hope. I said at one point I would eat a shoe if the core that is now collapsed
decimated
didn't win a cup. And I'm not doing that because I am not a man of my words, and I don't care what I said 4 years ago.
Times change, man. Times change.
I'm a big boy now. I have a job.
Yeah, I mean, being a Toronto citizen my entire life, I do remember an era where there was hope for the Toronto Maple Leafs back when I was, 12. But
I
those
was
were you were
2.
in diapers, so
I
time's
was
long
2 or
gone.
1.
Yeah, but it does exist. But yes, by and large, statistically speaking, Leaf fans are perishing every day, all the time, forever. So that's the way she goes.
It's okay. They'll win at some point, and it'll probably happen in my lifetime, but I
Yeah,
don't know
by
when.
the laws of the universe, at some point, it's very improbable that they don't.
Yeah, it's like somehow the Vancouver Canucks will eventually win.
Ooh,
Maybe.
here's a good. We
I
got
don't
a
know
good.
if I believe that.
Here's a good
Maybe
question.
maybe I don't believe
We
that.
got a really good question here. Would you eat a shoe if the Sabres won a Stanley Cup before the Leafs?
Ooh,
That's a great question. I probably
it
wouldn't.
is a great question.
I probably wouldn't. I would. I don't think.
Buffalo.
I think Buffalo's got some juice, man. They got some juice in the tank right now. I don't know.
I would do it. I would do it for the memes.
True.
Yeah. I would, because it'd be like, we're not big enough of a channel for this, like that, to go viral. Me eating a shoe is just some random loser eating a shoe because the Sabres won a cup instead of the Leafs.
Right.
If we had a bit more clout, that's a good word, then I would totally do it, because it would be an awesome opportunity for
us.
Well, it'd be an awesome opportunity for me to get freaking ragged on for a little bit.
Yeah.
Some, what's the point of me doing it for 200 people?
Sure.
If I'm gonna be the butt of a joke like that, the whole world needs to have their eyes trained on me.
I do remember in the old era of Reddit from when I was in university, I remember seeing a video of someone literally eating a hat after making a bet that they said they would eat a hat if something happened, and that thing happened. And I distinctly remember watching an entire video of a man cutting up and eating a hat. Ugh. And that was really good content back in that time. That went real hard on Reddit back in 2010 or whatever.
See, my threat of eating a shoe is because when I was younger, I had this friend who thought I would never buy a PC, right? And he said, nah, AJ won't buy a PC. I'll eat a shoe if AJ buys a PC. And I bought the PC right then and there.
Oh, yeah?
And then he ate a shoe candy. So that was going to be my
cop-out. Oh, okay. All right. I mean, I guess.
But I thought it was funny that he went to all those lengths to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, I will eat a shoe, and then didn't.
Oh, well. Okay, let's actually answer this question from Austin here. He's a beloved member of our community. There isn't even a question. He just wants me to move up Xavier Villeneuve on my list. I mean, I think once you see it when it comes out next week, you probably will be pretty happy about it, considering he's in my top 10. And I don't know. Maybe it is still too low, but no. Not right now.
Yeah, you say he's like Lane Hudson. He should be first overall, dude.
Exactly.
What are we doing here?
Exactly.
It should have been Lane Hudson at first overall and Yuri Slafkovsky where they took Lane Hudson. Simple as that, right?
Hey, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Oh boy, crazy! They got both those guys in the same old draft. Anyway, if I ask Perplexity or Gemini to generate the most Nordic name I can think of, I wonder if it'll come out any more Nordic than Viking Gustafsson Nyberg. Yes, that's true. And he plays like that too. I actually went and watched a little bit of Mr. Gustafsson Nyberg, and he's a very, very big boy who gets around, and he's a big defensive boy. And if you want a guy named Viking on your team, you could do a lot worse. Go ahead. I was gonna say, I wonder if his name was like Ron Smith, if people would care that much about him as a player, but I'm obviously being very cynical. He is an interesting pickup, and we'll see what he does with Minnesota. But what were you going to say?
I actually think Viggo Bjork is literally the most Viking or Scandinavian name I've ever heard in my life, man.
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, yeah, it is a pretty big one. There's a lot of.
If it was Viggo Bjorkstrom, that would be like. That's the only way it can get more Nordic than it already is.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of I mean, Finnish names are sort of on their own. I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
Finnish in general,
they're closer to Hungarians
right?
than they are
Yeah,
to
Estonia.
Swedes.
I think it's Estonian and Finnish are like a language group kind of isolated on their own, something like that. And we're all the better for it. I love listening to Finnish commentary. It's awesome. But yeah, Viking Gustafsson Nyberg, whatever. What a name. I know points aren't everything, but do you think Demidov has the potential for 100 points in a year? Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I need to look at who he's playing with here. But I mean, I know for a long time it was. Oops, wrong site. Oh my god. I knew for a long time it was Oliver Kapanen and I forget who else.
Like Patrick Laine at one point,
I know it.
maybe.
Yeah, at one point it was, but he's been hurt, right? Again. Or am I wrong? I don't know. I clearly I pay a lot of attention to what's going on in the NHL, as we all know.
Yeah, really,
Damn,
I do now too.
damn,
Now the job.
he's having a real banger of a year. Gee whiz. Yeah,
Yeah, but I'll be surprised.
Kapanen, and Newhook mostly.
Ah,
He has not played with Laine very much. But
yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, but yeah, we love Demidov here. He might score
We always
200.
have.
He might score 200 points. Yeah, he's playing with Newhook and Texier. Okay, well there you go. But yeah, we love him. Thoughts on Sweden's under 18 roster? Well, I thought you would never ask. I mean, they look great. I mean, I think that Swedish team is, I was sketching up a Canadian teams that, as of last week, have been eliminated or were likely to be eliminated, and it's always tough for Canada at the under 18s because they can't just bring their best players because all of them are still in the playoffs in the CHL. But a lot of good Canadian players also were in college hockey, and so they might be able to show up. Lawrence and Verhoff and not McKenna, but who else is in there? Like Mathis Preston will be there. He's not a college player, obviously, but all those guys will be eligible and almost certainly there. Maybe even a Valentini. Like they'll have a good team, I think. But the U.S., I mean, or the Swedes, I should say, they've got a really good team. Like I think at this tournament, I mean, they should be a threat. They've got a solid goaltender in Viggo Tom. Their defense group is just top to bottom loaded with stuff that should work. I really like Vilgot Ledin for next year, but Brat is fine. Elofsson is decent at that level. Gudmundsson is a pretty good defensive player. Malte Gustafsson, I'd expect, is going to be a guy who makes a name for himself if he hasn't already. Ola Palme is a decent defenseman as well. He's got some ability. Like they're pretty much top to bottom loaded on the back end and on the forward side. I mean, like names like Anderson, Bjork, Command, Hermanson, even Isaacson. Ole Carlson is for next year, but I've always really liked him this year. Bosa Mayer is a guy who I can already tell will be like extremely high on my list next year, and I don't know if everyone else will, but I love him. Marcus
He'll be extremely high on your list next year for like the first couple of draft cycles, and then you'll overcorrect.
Yeah,
like
probably.
you do sometimes
He'll be at like 3, and
then he'll be at
nuts.
33.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, he's having a good playoff. He's got 23 points in 11 games for Frölunda's junior team, so that's not so bad.
That's pretty good.
He's a really good hockey player. Marcus Nordmark will be there. Adam Nome is okay even. Like almost every one of their defensemen, and how could I forget? Wiggo Sorensen's going to be there. My Division 2 GOAT. Wiggo Sorensen.
Oh yeah, you showed me some of his tape, I think. And,
yes, I did.
I didn't know what to make of it because it's just
yeah, no.
It's Division 2.
I think he's gonna turn some heads here. I mean, I hope he does because every time I've seen him play for the Swedish junior team this year, yeah, no, he's legit. So most of these guys I know, and most of these guys I do really, really like. I think the Swedish group this year is pretty underrated, and they've got a really, really good looking team for the tournament this year. We'll see what the rest of the teams look like. I know that there are there's pre-tournament games going on. I saw Germany played Slovakia a few times, so you can kind of infer who's going to be on those teams. But yeah, Sweden looks pretty good.
But have you considered there's too much Stockholm on that team and not enough Saskatchewan?
Yes, I have considered that. Yeah, they need more. They need more Saskatchewan on that team. I know it's
It's
gonna be a
funny.
shame.
You would think that Brad Lambert would be like really good in his draft year because he had a bit of Saskatchewan in him, but nope.
Yes, yeah, yeah, pretty much. But nope, not today. Toronto wanting the assistant general manager of Florida is funny. I mean, it is. But I would probably target that guy too, if I'm being perfectly honest. Sonny Meadows, I mean, I met him once at a conference years ago and heard him talk once,
Oh,
and he's smart,
you
man.
know him?
Well, I met him once. Like I
Yeah,
met
but that's
the same
knowing
in the
him.
same
Come
way as
on.
I met Kyle Dubas once, right? Like I've met
Yeah, in the
these
same way
people.
I know Matthew
Right,
Schaefer, Porter Martone, and Michael Misa.
right.
You know them.
Yes. But Sonny Meta is a really smart guy. I think he's a huge part of the success in Florida. Like I think Florida, when you look at the staff that's there, like that committee of people, I think is just a bunch of really, really smart people, and I think they've done a really good job. It's not so much like, oh, we're just gonna hire the guys that won on the team that won the Stanley Cup. Like that's not. I don't think that's the angle. I think Sonny Meta is legitimately a really, really smart person. I mean, he's an academic poker player. Like that's kind of where he's sort of,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
like that's where he got his start.
I'm sold. I'm sold.
Yeah, he was like a professional poker player for a while.
That's
And yeah,
awesome.
so like he's a smart guy, and yeah, like if Keith Pally seriously wants sort of a data-driven analytical organization, then I would be opening the wallet, because I think St. Louis, or was it New Jersey, also has the right to talk to him. Toronto does, though. I mean, Toronto probably has more resources to convince him, and by that I mean moolah.
Human dollars,
a little bit
human
more
monies.
dollars to convince him to maybe come up here. So, and honestly, like I think he would be worth it if I'm Toronto. I mean, if I'm New Jersey too, like if you can make it work, you can make it work, and who knows what he'll do or what he wants to do. But yes, it is. I mean, it is kind of funny that Toronto is going to Florida and going, "We want to hire a guy out of your front office."
Well,
Um,
I wouldn't be surprised if it is along the lines of thinking that, oh, the Florida Panthers have won Stanley Cups,
sure.
but maybe they luck into something, you know?
I mean, it could be both. They might
But
be,
yeah, it could be both.
but I mean, yeah, no. Florida has some smart people working for them, and here they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You don't win
Yeah,
two
and
Stanley Cups
Rod
in a row by
Peterson
being
knows all of
dumb.
them.
You don't win two Stanley Cups in a row by being dumb. That's that. And go to what, 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals, is it, or 3 in 4 years, something like that?
3 straight
Yeah.
because they did it like they were in the final against Vegas.
Right. Yes, that's true. Yeah. So
They barely made it in that year, though. It was
they did,
crazy.
but still, 3 straight
And
Stanley
they
Cup
also
Finals.
swept, and what was awesome is they also swept, or not swept. They was a 3-1 series they came back from against Boston
Oh, yes.
in Bergeron's last
I
game.
remember that.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah, I remember people were like, "Oh, are the Panthers cooked? Are they done? Are they going to fire everybody?" And then all of a sudden, off they go. Nuts. Oh, okay. Well, how do you feel about Keith Pelly glazing the Montreal Canadiens?
I don't care, man. Like,
I think people
what?
lost their
Like,
minds.
people lose their minds over stuff. It's like you're bound to say something stupid at some point. I've said plenty of stupid things.
Yeah.
It's like we all say dumb things, especially like imagine what I'd get roasted for if I was actually really notable in any considerable way, right? Like we didn't see Buffalo coming. Yeah, that's fair. I didn't see Buffalo coming either.
Yeah.
Not seeing Montreal coming is a little stupid.
Yeah, that's. I
Like
mean,
that-
he
it's
put his
where I'm
foot in
like-
his mouth. I think we can all admit that he put his foot
Yeah.
in his mouth. But I mean, like some of the talking heads in Toronto, like, holy smokes,
They have
man.
nothing else to talk about.
Yeah,
man.
I guess like there's nothing else to. Oh man, but boy, it was.
And some of those people have suggested William Nylander for Nick Ritchie and
Right.
Brandon Montour. So I don't consider them very credible in terms of what they say.
Right. Is it just me, or is there nothing that screams elite about Ivar Stenberg, a jack of all trades kind of guy? If you think he comps to Jake Gensel, then is he really worth a swing at 1 or 2? I mean, the one that's always stuck out to me is like a Seth Jarvis. And like when I watch Seth Jarvis play hockey, I go, I want that guy on my team. Like
I
it's
want that guy.
yeah, you want that guy on your team. And I think this year, like the difference between the first and second tier on my list when it drops next week is not that big. And I've said this a bunch of times, and like I'm sure I know this username, I'm sure you've been here before, but like the discussion this year in the draft for me is going to be very interesting in retrospect because it's a process of like, or sorry, it's like a question of what does like value mean? Like what type of a player do you find more valuable, right? Mm-hmm. Like with Stenberg, there's less to worry about, and I think that with Stenberg, like it's like that he doesn't have that 10 out of 10 offensive skill and creativity that McKenna has, but he has the capability of doing the same output in terms of playmaking and getting scoring chances and all that. He has the same, like, it's that whole thing of like what
you're looking at a more well-rounded profile, right?
But like what difference does it like the question to me is like what difference does it make if a player comes racing up the right wing, stops up on a defenseman along the half wall, flings a puck across the ice and makes this incredible backdoor pass play for a primary assist, or a player just barrels into the offensive zone, gets below the goal line, throws a backhand pass out in front of the net, and it's a one-timer. Like one is a more skilled play, one is a more creative play, but the other is more straightforward and basic and repeatable. So it's like, which one, if one player can do one and another player can do the other, is it a, like, would you prefer one over the other? And for me, the answer is I wouldn't. I think with Stenberg, like, the way he processes the game and the way he works through pressure and the way that he deals with opposition is a little bit more advanced than in more areas of the ice than McKenna. But, like, you are probably going to get more pure production out of McKenna. Like, you put McKenna on a power play and it's automatic. Like you cannot take a penalty if you're playing a team with Gavin McKenna on it. But at 5-on-5 with Ivar Stenberg, he brings a lot of overall value, and McKenna does bring good value as well. But I think my whole thing in the draft is if you take the player, like if I take Gavin McKenna and put him on a line with the best players on my team, put him on if I put Gavin McKenna on a line with Connor McDavid, he'll do just fine. Like that will work. But if I take Connor McDavid away from Gavin McKenna, whoever he plays with will be just fine. But if I take Gavin McKenna and put him on the third line or on the second line and put him with, put him in that Ivan Demidov situation where he's playing with guys like Oliver Kapanen, it's like, well, in that case, you might not get that sort of output out of a guy like McKenna as much. Obviously, that's true because you're not playing with Connor McDavid. But my point is, like, you take Ivar Stenberg away from a Connor McDavid, and I feel like he would raise the floor of everybody else in terms of at both ends of the ice. But the question, to bring it back to the original point, is like if McKenna's offensive ability can overcome and go beyond the sort of other areas of the game that Stenberg brings, then he should be more valuable on paper. But the uncertainty about that is the real question mark. And it's still something I'm really hesitant about. But in terms of like, if there is a player in this draft who has a thing about them that is truly world class, there's not that many of them, and McKenna is definitely one of them. But Stenberg, everything with him is just like, he just gets it. Like the way he plays the game, like you just watch him and you go, I know what he is, and he's just very efficient. If he was playing in the junior leagues like this, then yeah, it would be a little bit of a concern. But in the SHL on a really good team, and he's not looking out of place and driving really good results, I'll take it. And that's not an easy thing to do. Not many guys in my experience tracking the SHL have numbers as good as Stenberg. And so yeah, it's a tricky question, and I think that anybody as of now acting with a level of certainty, I think those people are running a lot of risk. I think it's a safe perceived option to go, of course I want Gavin McKenna. But I think there's a little bit more nuance and risk to it, that it's a matter of like, I think you just kind of have to set aside, like if Gavin McKenna has 100 points in a season and Ivar Stenberg has 75, yes, McKenna looks better on paper, but like when you look under the hood and see the sort of all around impact on the game, I think, like, for example, a guy like Seth Jarvis, like, you watch that guy play and you go, I don't know why Carolina would ever get rid of that guy, right? And I'm sure that's the case for like a McKenna, but to me, it's like that maybe Artemi Panarin type vibe, where it's like that offensive impact and that sort of individual skill can do a lot for you, but there's always something missing from the package that, you know, at the end of the day, they're both great players. You want both of them, but it just depends on your priorities. It's really, really, it's a weird year.
And fit as well.
And what? Oh, fit. Yeah. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I mean, so the financial analyst wants the bull case on Stenberg. I mean, I think he's a top, like, in the same way that Anton Frondel could be a top line winger because of the role that he plays as like a forechecker, a physical player that can shoot. Stenberg, I think, is a top line complementary guy. If you put him on a line with a scorer, he'll help the scorer score. If you put him on a line with a playmaker, the playmaker will help him score. If you put him on a line and expect him to be a decent forechecker and more of an off-puck guy, he can do that too, right? Like, it's very sort of like a Lucas Raymond-esque profile, where it's like, is Lucas Raymond going to ever lead the league in scoring? Probably not. But when you watch the Detroit Red Wings, when you watch the Red Wings, you go, that's the guy that you probably never, ever want to get rid of. Like, him and Sider probably, or like the guys where, at this point, at least, you're like, I don't think I ever want to lose those guys. But it's tough. It's a tough conversation. Like, if someone wanted Gavin McKenna at 1 and I was working for a team, I'm not going to say no. I get it, but I just think there's a really big discussion to be had, and it'll be interesting looking back. I think that's the big thing, is looking back on who brings what value and where in the draft. I think will be very interesting in this class, but that's true almost every year. Yes, I saw Quinn Beauchamp's going to BC. Good for him. Someone's got to replace Lucas Gustafsson, my goat. Yeah, no Milan Sundstrom on the Swedish team. Generally, they don't bring guys that are born the year earlier. Like, they don't bring 16-year-olds to this tournament all that often, I don't think. Would I have maybe put Sundstrom on this team? Yeah, I think so. Like, down the lineup, you know, he's a big guy who can play center last I checked, and you know, would I pull like a Adam Nolma or Hampus Zarath off the team? Maybe. But it's a good team though, like, regardless. I mean, I think Sundstrom is a very good player. I think he's a very exciting player, but I don't think it was like automatic shoe-in for him. But he is a very good player. Good player. Personal betting odds top 10. We got McKenna, Verhoff, Stenberg, Malhotra, Reed, Carroll, Schmitz, Lawrence, Belchitz, Rudolph. Maybe. Let's see. What is the weighted average accessible to all Scouching.ca subscribers? What's my weight average say here? The weight average here is McKenna, Stenberg, Verhoff, so close. Reed, Schmitz, Lawrence, Carrolls, Bjork, Malhotra, Belchets. But there are a number of places that haven't put out a ranking in like 3 or 4 months, myself included. But this includes my most recent one. But Belchets, and then it kind of drops. And then there's like, let's see, who is in this group? Savanto, Hemming, Novotny, Rudolph, and Lynn, and Hermanson are kind of all in a group together. And then it's just like it scales upwards from there. So if I was a betting man, I would probably put more weight on Caleb Malhotra. Although I said this in the Discord server last night, Brantford won their first game of the second round of the playoffs 8-1 last night. Like,
so he's going third overall.
Right. Like I see that as just more evidence that like the CHL is a very different landscape than it used to be. Like, if you are in the second round of the playoffs, there's 8 teams left in the league, and you're beating your opponent 8-1 in game 1. Either they had the worst game they've ever played, or there's probably a little bit of a balance problem in the league, right? Like, that's the scary thing for me in this draft class. Like, I get it. Malhotra's a good player. I think there's really, really good stuff to chew on there. But like, when you look at the numbers and you zoom out, he's over a point a game. But like, when you look at players who produce and relative to their team, he's under 30% involvement in his team's offense. And like Ryan Lynn, for example, is over 40, right? Mathis Preston with Vancouver was touching 45. Like, there's different circumstances going on here. And so you got to be so careful, I think. And Yeah, like I don't know if it's such a good thing that we're dealing with, projecting players who are playing against one of the 8 best teams in their league and absolutely demolishing them. Like we'll see how the series goes, but I thought that was really indicative of Stump. Like I think in the series the Flint, it was Flint and Owen Sound. And I think it was a sweep, and I think Flint scored 34 goals in 4 games. Like it's just like I don't know how you make sense of that and project that beyond anything. Like
That's
I don't
awesome.
know.
My buddy who's from Owen Sound will hate that so much because I know he hates Flint.
Oh, I mean they got demolished. It's nuts.
I got to get him back because he tends to only message me when the Leafs or some other sports team I care about does bad.
Right. Yeah.
So it's time I return the favor.
Yeah. Yeah. Thoughts on Ilya Protas? I love a big boy with hands and vision. Yeah. Honestly, Ilya Protas.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly. Ilya Protas is an interesting one because I remember watching him at Des Moines, and I'm sure I could go back and validate.
Find out why you're wrong.
No, validate my claim that I did really like him back in those days. It's just a matter of like
he's big. You can't like him.
Yeah, exactly. But like with Protas, it's I mean, look, I think Washington. It's very obvious what their strategy is as a team and as an organization, and it's very obvious to me that from management down to their development staff, they know what they're trying to get at as a team. Like they are focused on like precision and tactics and selflessness, team play, don't bite off more than you can chew, protect the puck, move it to your line mates, just march the game in the right direction. You don't need to be the fastest guy in the world. You don't need to be the most skilled guy in the world. It's just, can you get the job done? And I like that, honestly. And with Ilya Protas, I mean, Alexei Protas, I can't believe that he's gotten to this point in his career. It's mind-blowing. But Ilya Protas, I remember really liking and wondering if there was ever going to be that sort of offensive gear. But, I mean, look, he went to Windsor and like doubled his per game point production year over year. So, look, I think now he's in the NHL and it just goes to show that like there are different ways to build a team. There are different ways to develop and build an organization. And I think if you keep your head on straight and you have synergy from like the top to the bottom in terms of drafting, development, deployment, coaching, everything, and it seems like Washington kind of has that, at least from my experience watching them, then you can figure it out. And so in that sense, that's kind of the strategy. It's just like, would these guys work on Toronto or Vancouver or
Nobody
Ottawa?
works on
Who
Toronto
knows?
right now.
Right? Like, I don't know. I don't think you can say that with certainty, but I think just the way that there's this clear plan and this strategy for Washington, I think it makes a lot of sense and it works for them. Obviously, they haven't had the best season this year, but like last year, I think that was clearly evident. And we'll see how it goes for them long term. But it's been a lot of fun to see that the triple tower line of Wilson, Protas, and Protas. That's been fun when I've peeked in on it.
The big boys go smash line.
Big and bigger.
Or boom, big boys.
Boom and big boy. Yeah, exactly. On Tynan Lawrence, what's a realistic outcome for him? What do you believe happens for him to accomplish it?
Oh, he's the greatest player ever.
Oh, yeah, he's the GOAT, man. He's going to be...
He went on game tape, so he has to be.
He's Mario Lemieux.
I have to be able to say, even though I was not there for the interview, I know him. Or at least I put together an interview piece for him.
Exactly.
So he's got to live up to those expectations. Otherwise, he makes me look bad. And that's all I care about. I got to look good. I got to keep up this reputation of... Matthew Schaefer and Porter Martone.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I think with Lawrence, I mentioned this on. I was on the Locked On Sharks show with. I almost said Sharks, but we don't do that. The Locked On Sharks podcast with JD Young, and he's always great. I have a lot of fun with him. But he asked me like who the guy in this draft is that I love that nobody else seems to, and I mentioned Tynan Lawrence. I was like, I have him at 3, and he might be a mid first round draft pick, like maybe. And he cut a clip of it, which I'm really happy about. But like I basically went over the case of like, I think there are 5 or 6, I think it's 5 17-year-olds in the NCAA this year, and since the turn of the millennium, the total number I think has been 28 17-year-olds have played in the NCAA. So like just under a fifth of the 17-year-olds who have ever played in the NCAA are doing it this year. So it's just a completely different world. And the NCAA is harder than it's ever been with all of the good CHLers that have come in and started to play there. I mean, with all due respect to like US players, like adding a lot of good CHLers is a very, very good boost to the league or the organization, the association, I guess you could say. And I think Lawrence, like, thrown onto a team that was struggling and all of that stuff, and watching how he plays and how he played in those last few games of the year just gave me so much confidence and conviction that he's just gonna get better. I think that I could see him being a top 6 center in some way. Just the two-way energy he's got, the northbound energy. He's not a perimeter guy as much as he used to be. That's something I still would want to work on with him. You know, definitely try to get him into the offensive zone a little bit more, slowing down the game a little bit more than he does and all that stuff. He can kind of default to just zoom, kaboom, and shooting the puck from the boards and sort of low percentage stuff. But when he shows the capability of playing a very different and much more, I would say, projectable style of play, not that he isn't already, but the ceiling's really high on him, and I think he could be great. And I think in Boston University, he's going to get all the reps. He's got all the reps that he needs to get there over the next few years. And I've never not been impressed when I watched him this year. And if people are down on him, then people are down on him. But I don't know. I especially because of how young he is. He's in August or July or June. I don't know. He's very young. Doesn't turn 18 until after the draft, and he's got a year of college or half a year of college under his belt. And the last couple of games, even his coach pointed it out. He's like, I thought he was one of the best guys on our team in the last couple of games they played. So I think that counts for something. And his head coach is a former NHL player, Jay Pandolfo. So, you know, he's got the NHL experience, so he knows what he's talking about. I don't. So there you go. Thoughts on Brad Lambert's good play? I know you love that one. Yeah, it makes me look smart, so I agree.
We love
it.
Brad here.
Yeah, I mean, good. Finally, again, this is why I do not care about point production that much. It's people have been coming at me for years about ever since like when Brad Lambert's scoring points for Seattle and in his rookie AHL season. It's look at him go, and then all of a sudden, he's getting jerked around a little bit, you know, kept in the AHL and all that stuff, and the team stinks, and his point production goes in the toilet, and it's and now,
stinky.
And now they just give him an opportunity. I watched a bit of the Jets game where he scored that goal because someone texted me about it when he scored, and I watched a bit of that game later on. I mean, they're playing like Gustav Nyquist in the lineup at like 38 years old or whatever he is, and like Jonathan Taves is in the lineup, and those guys are just not contributing very much. And then Brad Lambert and Isak Rasin hit the ice, and I go, yeah, you can't take these guys out of the lineup. Like, they're making your team. I'm not sure if Winnipeg has been better since trading Logan Stanley and Luke Shen, but it feels
they are.
It feels like they've been better. Like, I don't know. I'm sure we have Winnipeg Jets fans somewhere around here, but I mean, hey,
you get rid of Logan Stanley, you're definitely
you could have, and teams could have had Brad Lambert for like pennies on the dollar when he asked for a trade in November, December, and the team allowed him to do it. He was like, I want to get traded, and the team was like, all right, go look for a solution. And like, if I'm an NHL team, I'm picking up the phone 2 seconds after that happens, and I'm like, 3rd round pick, 4th round pick.
Brad Lambert's the new Nick Robertson.
Give me a 4. I'll give you a 4th round pick for him. And if Winnipeg goes no, I go, okay, how about his 3rd round pick? And they go no, and I go, okay, how about Simon Benoit, right? Like, and they'll go, okay.
That's what I said. That's what I said yesterday.
They're like, yeah, let's do it. Well, I don't know. But yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy about it. I love to see a guy like Lambert find some degree of success because, you know, we've been through the ringer, I think. Do you think Alexis Joseph goes the NCAA route? Where do you think he fits? I mean, I personally, if we are all convinced that Alexis Joseph is the next big thing, literally, because he's big, I would not be in the queue next year if I were him. If I am an agent in 2026, which I am not, but if I am an agent of a very, 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 very talented player and they're in the Canadian Hockey League, I am moving heaven and earth to convince them to get as much school as they can get done and go to college. Like, I would much, much rather see them there and perform against
their teachers to boost their grades.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, of course. Just give them their diploma already. Who cares? But I'd rather
You're gonna
see
go play hockey, bro. Let them go.
I'd rather see them tested and let NHL scouts be wrong than put them in the CHL and have them dominate kids that are just not on their level and see him not tested, right? Like, I would much rather just go, nah, man, like, you're 17, but you're really talented. Why would you want to punch below your weight class for a higher draft slot? Well, that doesn't in it's not like the NFL or whatever, or the MLB, where you are drafted factors into how much you get paid on your entry level contract, right? Like, and if you're going to college, you don't even sign your entry level contract right away, right? So it's like, you have time to prove to the team that it's like, oh, you took me 9th overall and I was actually the second best player in the draft. Well, now you know. And lucky you, but you got to pay me. So it's an interesting thing. I don't know anything about Joseph and what he's going to do. I'm not that insider type. But if I'm advising him, and I am not, but if I am, I would recommend to anybody at his level, with his reputation and his abilities, I just say, man, go challenge yourself, go to college, do your thing. And we'll see. I don't know. But like Landon DuPont is another one where I'm like, why would you ever go back to the WHL next year? It just makes no sense at all. But it seems like he's going to go NCAA. Like, I can't even imagine Gavin McKenna in the WHL this year. Like, he might have scored 190 points. Like, and it would have been agonizing because he would be able to do it with both hands tied around his ankles, not just behind his back. He could probably score 100 points with his body flipped upside down the whole time. Like, I don't know. He'll find a way. So yeah, no, that's just my 2 cents. Is it truly beneficial for Toronto to end up taking their pick this year and then giving it to Boston next year based on the draft classes? Because in my opinion, they'll suck again next year. AJ, can I ask you to take this question? Because I have to go pee so bad, and all of a sudden it's really bothering me. So I'll be back in 90 seconds, but it's really bothering me. So if you don't mind,
go do your thing. Go do your thing.
Thank you.
Honestly, who cares? No, but it's tough, man. Like, I don't know how well this team's going to do in the next little while. Like, I'm not very confident in their ability to bounce back. They're just in a really tough situation, and we're going to suffer. It's just going to be suffering, no matter which way you slice it. So I am kind of indifferent on whether, like, what pick they want to, like, give away or whatever level of control they have, because I'll be completely honest, I've had to tune out this season a lot for my own mental health, because I think I'd be losing my mind way too much had I like actually been paying a tremendous amount of attention to the Craig Berube Brad Treliving Leafs. Like, I think my head would have actually just exploded watching this team like the full year. So I know it's a non-answer and I feel bad for not answering like the best way, but I'm just so defeated with this. Like, I can't, like, I'm not even formulating proper sentences because I'm just so done and over it. It's like, you're going to get a poo-poo sandwich no matter what you do, it feels like, with this team. And I wish it were a lot better, but it's not, sadly. And I feel very defeated. Now, I actually got to be a non-lazy person and start reading the chat now that Will has left, because I have been working on the game tape. So let me pull up the chat. Hopefully I can see it. All right, here we go. Also,
returned.
like,
hello.
Oh, you returned.
What
Okay,
I miss?
perfect.
What I miss?
I just said I'm defeated, and I don't like. I don't know. I honestly feel like no matter what happens, they're gonna eat a poo sandwich. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if they give up, like, if they like take the pick this year, they defer. It's just like they're kind of screwed unless they really turn it around and take some good swings on smaller mobile defensemen. And it's not going to be perfect no matter what, because you put yourself at a disadvantage already with the big hunkin' boys you got who can't move. So I don't know. I feel like the trajectory of this team feels like it's going downwards no matter what.
Yeah.
Unless like something really miraculous happens.
No, I mean, I am not super optimistic about where Toronto's going to be next year. I don't like the thing is in the division. You have to think about the division. Like in their division, are they looking like they're gonna be better than Montreal next year? I don't know. I don't think so. Are they looking like they're gonna be better than Buffalo? I think that's a question mark. We'll see how Buffalo holds up, but
I don't know that I buy Buffalo,
I
and I mean that legitimately. Like, I also haven't watched enough of the NHL this year, just because I said earlier it's depressing for me at the moment.
Yeah. The Sens, I don't think you can guarantee Toronto can rebound and be better than the Sens next year. Just looking at that team up and down, I don't know. Like Florida, are they going to be bad again next year?
No,
I don't think so.
No, they'll be great. They'll probably be great again.
Boston's not going to get worse. I don't know. They
probably don't get worse. Like,
I don't think they do.
Yeah. No, I don't think they do either.
I don't know what you do if you're Toronto to get yourself out of the rut, because you have nobody wants anybody off your roster.
Yeah.
Austin Matthews is worth a nickel relative to $1 right now. Like, and you're not going to trade him anyway.
No, you're not.
You don't have much.
You have to keep him.
You've traded all your picks. You've exhausted your prospect cupboard. You've got Easton Cowan, and
he's good,
he's
but
fine.
He's not like he's not a world beater. Ben Danford's not the savior on the blue line.
Ben Danford will play, I believe, like a decent version of that Simone Benoit type. Decent all-around defensive-leaning guy who can get the job done but is not going to rescue the team. So, like, it's almost like, to me, and I mentioned this last week, but, like, outlining the various scenarios, it's almost like, to me, you just kind of, like, you've already fired Treliving, and you almost kind of just want to say, we're going to try to compete, but we're going to be adding younger players. Like, we will think about trading guys, and we're going to get younger, we're going to get faster, and if we win next year, one way or the other will be fine. But if we give Boston another pick, at least I wasn't the GM who did that. And it's like, you just kind of have to deal with it and hope that things improve. And if they don't, you just hope you draft really well and sign some good. I don't know. Like, it's not a job that I think is an easy option. You have to go into
the reclamation bin and find some guys, like I know it. I sound like a broken record saying this, but bring Timothy Liljegren back.
Go sign Kaylor Yamamoto. That's what you do. You go get Kaylor Yamamoto out of Utah.
More than anything, they just need to find like mobile guys on the blue line to actually get the puck like moving. Like they just can't. They don't move.
Toronto's breakouts this year are a disaster. Toronto's neutral zone game in general is a disaster, and we were talking about this in September. I remember distinctly watching preseason games with you. And we were watching Toronto, and we're like, their defensemen. We were like, their defensemen cannot move. Like, they're chasing the puck constantly. They're doing the thing that I love is like the awareness discussion. It's like they're just aware of passing lanes. They're in the right spots. It's like, no, they're just slow, bro. Like they're just not keeping up with the speed of a good modern NHL team. And it's like, you can cope and say it's awareness, but like, there's a fine difference, but it's a massive difference between I am in the right lane and I just can't keep up and I have to sort of play it passive. And Toronto has done that all year, and it's been a disaster. And then breaking the puck out is a disaster. But like, once the puck's in the offensive zone, they got some good stuff.
They went from one of the better D groups in the league, like not superstar level, but like their defense was like pretty solid. It was good. Like, it wasn't the problem in the playoffs either. It was the fact that they couldn't score in like the Keith Dubas era. They couldn't put the puck in the back of the net because they were very predictable and played like this very robotic, slow style. Like watching Leafs regular season games in, let's say, 2021, 2022, they'd win and it would just look super comfortable.
Yeah.
Like they weren't challenged in any meaningful way. They would just do what they wanted at their own pace kind of thing. It was like having the gifted kid in the Montessori school, like reading his book at his own pace, doing his own self-directed learning.
That's me. Yep. That's me.
Well, but am I wrong?
No,
I feel
not
like
at
that's
all.
what they were.
Yeah, not at all.
When it came to actually like, all right, it's time to shut up and go out there and win in a super meaningful game, they fell apart most of the time.
Yeah.
And I think it came down to they just didn't challenge their opponents.
Yeah.
It's like I play chess kind of similarly to I would describe the way that the Leafs played in the playoffs. And I don't mean that like I'm a complete choker. It's just what I've been trying to get better at is being more aggressive and having the initiative in positions. Because when I first started out, I just didn't want to make mistakes.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
I got pretty good at doing that, but I would play like very passively, and I still have a tendency to play very passively. And like, I'm a 1600 rated player on chess.com, so like top 2%, and I still find that like I'm very like hesitant to make a pawn break or do something to change the dynamic of the position. And then like I start thinking under the time pressure, because I like to play 10-minute games, and I watch as my time just like dissipates, right? Like I end up a lot lower on time mostly than other people that I'm playing against. So
yeah,
that's something that I'm working on, even like my own my own chess games, is playing with pace and like putting pressure on the clock, as well as like being a little more aggressive and being able to handle it, because I just get a little nervous, right?
Well,
and
and I think there's
go ahead.
It's like both. It's like two sides of a similar coin with learning anything, right? Like you have two different ways of going about learning, right? One is being very passive and making mistakes by being passive, right? And you sort of do those things and you go, okay, I screwed up because of this, right? And the opposite is true if you're a more aggressive type of person. Like if you're an NHL team, for example, because this is a hockey show, if you're a just run and gun offensive team, you might have parts of the and this is why I love hockey so much. Like it might work. Like you might have things that work and work really, really well, but like the way that the how much you lean into that is like you running the risk of opening yourselves up to certain risks. And then the real good teams are the teams that can adapt to that. They're the ones that go, okay, we know that this is a bit of an issue and we might need to pull back on some things and bolster some other things. And the opposite is true. They play so passive and sitting back, and then they go, well, but now we can't score. Now we can't do this. And how do we sort of learn? How
do we win the game? Like that's my problem.
Right.
How do I actually win? Like I know I have an advantage, but how do I win?
And it's all just trade-offs.
I got to take a little risk.
Right. It's all just about trade-offs. And I mean, I don't even remember what the original topic of conversation was, but like, it's just an interesting thing that I think gets boiled down to be too simple. Is like, oh, well, there's this like one Lisan Al Gaib style golden path right through the middle, right? Like, it's like, well, not necessarily, but you just have to be reflective and adaptive and use your brains. You know, God gave you a brain, you got to use it.
Sometimes I wish I played more aggressively when I was learning, so I could actually, because now I'm just scared to make like really boneheaded mistakes. I just tank my time and end up going with the safest option. And then it's funny. Like I'm really good with like 1 minute on the clock, but you give me 7 minutes and I start tanking down and I got to make quick decisions. And, my opponent has like 5 minutes on me. Right. So
yeah. If there's one thing you could do to make prospect evaluation even better or more scientific, what would or could you do? Well, I mean, from my perspective, I don't have the resources of an NHL team, but it would be great to be able to interview these guys more often, right? Like we do interviews and whatever, but like I mean like privately, you know, and
Yeah.
like and get to know them and pick their brains a little bit. That's not scientific, but that's definitely a thing that really factors in that I don't get the luxury of. And that would be a factor. But I know NHL teams do that. In terms of like scientifically speaking, look, the more I do this, I just don't think it's really possible. Like I think that I don't based on the mechanics and the way the system works and the way that human lives operate, the idea, like think about the idea of an NHL draft. It is absolutely bizarre. Like imagine if Google and Facebook and Microsoft and all the other big tech companies had a draft where they got to pick the best computer engineering students in the world. That makes no sense. Like that's ridiculous. But in sports we do it and it's normal. And so it's like, well, how do you know who the best computer engineers are? I don't know. Like they're is it the ones that can write the fastest code the best? Well, what if they're morons and they're just like able to write code really quickly, but they can't come up with an original idea to save their lives? Does that make them worse? Maybe. But like it all really depends. And how much will they learn working at your company for 5 years? Who knows, right? Like, how do you know? How can you scientifically boil that process down to getting it right every time? I don't think it's physically possible. And I know there are people trying, and I know there are lots of models out there and everything, but I just think that there are...
You never have 100% accuracy on that.
Right. There are such an infinite number of confounding variables that can affect the trajectory and the output of a player, the coaches, assistant coaches, the college coaches, teammates, their parents, lifestyle effects, the quality of the management of the team that they're drafted by. Like all of these things can factor in that you cannot tell from when they're 17. It is just fundamentally impossible. So I do the data work that I do because it helps me go, I have these internalized beliefs about these players, but when I watch them play, what am I seeing? And I know for a fact, like people can criticize my opinions or my work or whatever, but at least I have the luxury of going back into the actual work that I've done and I can show it to you in your face and go, here is why I believe what I believe. And I feel like a lot of people, because they don't have that information outside of, oh, he scored points, I don't think they can do the same thing, right? And so for that, in that sense, like, it's why I've said a billion times, like, if I were running an NHL scouting department, it would be like 50-50. I'd get clones of me crunching video, crunching numbers. They know how data works. They know the limitations and all that stuff. But then a whole bunch of other people are my little spies that worm their way across the world and sort of interviewing players and coaches and parents and all that stuff and building those dossiers. You need the CIA, my CIA on one side, and I want to run the FBI, right? Like you need both to have a national security apparatus, right? Like you need both. And so that, I think from an institutional perspective, like in hockey in general, it's kind of there, but it isn't, right? There's still very much a focus on that boots on the ground subjective analysis, where that in my mind is where there's a lot of headroom to be made. Am I right all the time? No, I make mistakes, of course, right? Everybody does. But but that to me is the area that is a little bit unexplored or misunderstood or whatever, right? Like I'm not gonna put out, I don't really share my data publicly all that often because it can get misconstrued and misinterpreted and like all this other stuff. But like the only reason I do it is to back up my thoughts and where I'm coming from, because sometimes I don't believe it and sometimes I do. But at the end of the day, I don't really know an easy answer to that question. But it's just a matter of like,
you can only go so far with numbers. Like I think you're trying to push it to its limit currently anyways
I don't know what else I could do personally, just on my own. I don't know what I could do.
Yeah. Like you need both.
Yeah.
Like you could look at a graph, and say something like, oh, there's more video games with gun violence in it. That's why there's more mass shootings. But does that make it true? just because like, does that actually make it a causal thing? I forget what the term was because I didn't pay attention in grade 12 math.
Well,
but
correlation isn't causation necessarily.
yes, that's
right.
What I'm
like it's not. It's not, and that's fine.
Context is important, and that's why you have to watch these games as well. But it's good to have something to look back on and like be able to say, yeah, I counted this many things. I think that's ultimately what you're doing. It's how many times, because I've tracked data for Will in the past. It's like, how many times does this guy cross the blue line with control, right? And it's more about validating or like being able to document what happened and just having that to go back on and be like, okay, this is how many times they were successful at transitioning the puck into the offensive zone. How many times they stopped somebody else from getting the puck into in their offensive zone. That's what it is.
here's a good example of kind of what I'm talking about, right? I'm not going to mention the name because I like the person and I don't want to pick on them or anything and whatever. But I saw someone on Twitter post a compilation of Xavier Villeneuve turning the puck over a bunch of times in a single game, right? Like, and I get what that person's trying to say, and they're not necessarily wrong, but it's again, when I look at the data on Villeneuve over a much larger sample than just one game, it's like, it's so obvious to me that those issues, even if they're there and repeatable and a problem, they are so far outweighed by all of the things he brings to the game that are so well beyond so many guys in the world. And it's like, so you're gonna be concerned about something that may be there, but like when you look at the entire package, which you don't have the access to if you're not keeping an eye on the numbers, like it's easy for you to then make a mistake. And the frustrating thing from my perspective, and this is true in the world in any case in this day and age in 2026, like an educated mistake is treated with so much more scorn and criticism than an uneducated one. Like if someone is for some reason nowadays, if someone is telegraphing to the world that they know better than everyone but don't have a reason for it and then make a mistake, nobody cares. But if someone actually puts in work and is like, here is my case as to why I think this is the case, and they're wrong, everybody cares, and that person is a moron. Like, it's a very strange thing that seems to happen where if you're a little bit wonkier and you're right, people don't really seem to care. And if you're wrong, everybody cares. But if you're more sort of abstract,
cautious?
Or if you're more, if anything, if you're more boisterous about it and you stick if you're really obnoxious about it, and you're like look at like a Joe Rogan character, for example, right? He doesn't know anything about anything, but he talks so much with so much conviction that when he's wrong, he doesn't get any less popular. And when he says things that people agree with, he goes to the moon. Whereas if you have someone who's like walking you through the case study of like, well, here's why this is this way and why we should do this and this and this and this, then everyone's just like, who cares? Like, whatever. And then when they're wrong, they're like, look at that idiot, right? It's like, it's a very strange thing that seems to happen. And I think that that's a problem with just science and data and education in general. Like, I don't know what you do about it, but when it comes to hockey, yeah, I think a lot of it just comes down to like fundamentally understanding what it is we're trying to do, which is a very, very difficult thing to get right and do very, very well. And all you can really do is mitigate negative circumstances and give yourself the best probability of being right. But that doesn't mean you're always going to be right? Huh? Okay, we got to keep going here. Sell me on Albert Schmitz as the top defender in the class.
Can I do this?
Okay. He's
Go
Latvian?
watch his game tape. He literally said, if you want a good D-man on your team, draft him. So
he did say that. Yes, it's true. We're done. We're done. No, I mean, I think with Schmitz, you have I think, very interesting modern offensive defenseman that can still play defense. I think with Schmitz, I'm not going to directly compare him as a player to Matthew Schaefer because he's only like a month younger, but he does have that sort of freewheeling style of defense where His skating gives him the range to pinch up in the offensive zone and play with the puck a little bit, protect the puck, drive into scoring areas like Schaefer does, and really play that sort of rover style of defending while still having the range and the mentality to not play defense. And I think that there aren't very many other defensemen that are kind of like that do it in a believable way where I would be comfortable with them. And for me, I have him as my number one defenseman in the class. I think he's got a really, really good sort of defensive mindset. He's positioned well defensively. He has pretty good gap management, really good stick checker. He doesn't overcommit physically. Like, there's a lot of things about his game that I really, really like. And he moves the puck pretty well, but sometimes not so well, and that's fine. But for me, it's more about his overall approach to the game that I think projects really well to the NHL as it is now on a team that I think they know what's going on. Whereas like Verhoff is much more traditional. We did a profile of him with JD on the Locked On Sharks podcast. And so I went back and watched everything I've pulled on Verhoff all year, good and bad. And I bumped him up a spot on my list before I finalized it after I did that. And it's just like the youth, I think, is a big factor. Like the fact that he's capable of doing what he's doing as a 17-year-old playing college hockey on one of the best teams in the country is pretty amazing. And the playmaking that he showcases, I know a lot of people talk about his passing or his shooting, but I think his passing is really impressive. He's a really smart defensive player. He's a great stick checker. He does sort of lose a lot of physical battles, but I think if he just gets stronger, like I think the whole thing is just how much strength is he going to build in the gym? How trainable is he? Because I think he's that type of guy where he'll bring some benefits if he's the way he is indefinitely. But if you can keep that line, ride that line of like physical strength without slowing his game down, I think you could get a lot out of him. I think he's a really, really good one. Reed, I still stand by the idea that you're looking at like a Morgan Riley type of guy, where the finer defensive side of the game, the defensive zone coverages, closing things out physically, I don't think you're going to get that too much out of Reed. But
we're going to caveat that with young Morgan Riley?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Morgan Riley at 18, right? 19, 20 years old. Like, I think you're getting a similar type of player. Great puck rusher, a good shot from the point, really, really, really good sort of blue line based playmaker. A guy who can score a lot of production, maybe run a power play, and be a good member of a good team. Like, I think that's perfectly acceptable. For me, it's really close. Like, they're all different types of defensemen at the top of my list, and it depends on what you prioritize, what you value the most, and you can convince me on any of them. I think that Verhoff's youth is quite tantalizing considering his style of play, but it's a tough year. Like, I think a lot of teams are going to draft a lot of guys that in 5, 6, 7 years, we see them all kind of floating around similar jobs in terms of like where in a lineup they're playing and what they're doing. Like, it all could just be different sides of the same, 6-sided dice, right? It's interesting. Do you feel worse for the Leaf fans that were, do you feel worse for the Leafs that were never close, or Vancouver that was close but never got over the hump? I don't know.
Which are we talking about? The like Sedin Vancouver?
Yeah, I would think playoffs. Like the Canucks went pretty deep in the playoffs a bunch of times in the Leafs.
I feel worse for the Leafs because I'm a Leaf fan and that's all I care about.
That's fair enough. I think that's fair. Do you think it would be a good idea for Simone Nemec to move from New Jersey, or do you think a change of GM means he could stay with the Devils if the roster changes? The problem is that it's ironic, right? When the Devils were drafting him, I thought Logan Cooley was the guy that I would have taken if he was there. And Devils fans were complaining to me that they needed a center, or they needed a defenseman. Sorry, they didn't need another forward. They had too many centers. They needed another defenseman, blah, blah, blah. And then the next year they drafted Luke Hughes. And so it's like now they have
it was Luke Hughes first.
Oh, it was Luke Hughes first, right. So now you're looking at a situation where it's like, well, who do you take out of the lineup to play Simone Nemec? And when they do play Simone Nemec, at least at this point in his career, he's one of the worst defensive players in the league, on paper at least. So that is not an acceptable combination. I don't think you can trade him and get a lot for him. I mean, I would give him a go if I'm another team and I could get a good price for him. But I'm not holding my breath. I still like him. I remember I've seen him a couple times this year, and I still think there's a good player there. But I don't know. I personally would say that he's 22? Something like that? 21, 22 years old? He's still a kid. Like, he's got time. And so I wouldn't move him just for the sake of like, well, it hasn't worked so far, so I'm going to trade him. Like, I don't think that's the right call. But I would definitely think like, he is waiver eligible next year, I believe, right? Or next year, the year after, something like that. Maybe the year after. Actually, no, he was 2023, so he's got a couple years. So you're okay for a little while. But I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I don't think I would be trading him if I'm New Jersey. I don't think you're gonna get a great package for him. Unless he's like part of something that adds something you really think you need. I don't know. I wouldn't be in a rush. What makes Verhoff any different from David Jiricek? Comparing them, I see big guys with heavy shots and solid offensive skill, but agility and skating could hold them back at different levels. I see your point, and I don't think you're wrong. I think there are similarities there, but I think David Jiricek was served way too much, way too fast, and Columbus's development system clearly did not do him any favors. And I don't mean that from like, he didn't play and blah, 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 blah. But it's more like he played for coaches and stuff who like actively told him that he was underwhelming or whatever, right? Like we all read that article where his coaches were basically like berating him for whatever. And it's like, that's not a good environment to put a teenager in, number one. And number two, like that would harm anybody's long-term trajectory as a young adult. And I don't think you can argue that that's going to happen to Verhoff. But I do see your point. I think Verhoff and Jiricek are somewhat comparable. I will say this, though. I think Verhoff's defensive game is more mature and projectable than Jiricek's game. Like, Jiricek was pretty passive and very physical. He really wanted to play that physical game, and he was not very good at it at that age. And I remember saying that a number of times, and I don't think it's really developed. And I think the offensive game for him is kind of his strength right now, even though it hasn't projected to the NHL. So again, it's like that's part of the, I don't know if I trust defensemen who are best in the offensive zone, because it's hard to get it there, right? And I think with Verhoff, there is a bit of a concern there, but I think his defensive game is a little bit more refined and a little bit more advanced and a little bit more tactical than a guy like Jiricek. But they do, you're on the right. I think you're on the right track there. I think you're right, and that's why I have Verhoff a little bit lower than the rest of the world. But not super low, but like I think he's well, I won't spoil it, but he's in the back half of the top 10 somewhere. And he might go 3, right? He might even go 2. Who knows? Do you feel worse for the Canucks or Leafs? The answer is no. That's fair. If Chicago doesn't get the top 2 pick, who do you think they'll go after? I could see Malhotra or a defenseman, but Bedard, Frondell, Malhotra could be nasty down the middle. I don't agree, honestly. I think you'd be undershooting your potential again with another draft pick if you're like I strongly feel, even more so now than I did 6 months ago, that Anton Frondell should be a winger in the NHL. I think if you're putting him at the center position, you're not doing him any favors. I think as an elite power skill or a power forward with a great forechecking brain and a fantastic shot that you can use from a number of different spots, Frondell's my guy. I want Connor Bedard setting Anton Frondell up for scoring chances, and I want Anton Frondell, in front of the net with Bedard flying around mid-range with the puck. That's what I want if I'm Chicago. And so I think you'd be undershooting your potential. And you also have a ton of guys that can also play center. Like, in my opinion, I think there's a universe where Oliver Moore can play center in the NHL. Frank Nazar can play center in the NHL. If Chicago doesn't get a top 2 pick, number one, like at this point in their trajectory, if it's not working next year, man, I don't know what you do, because they have drafted a ton, and I don't think they're very quickly getting to the point where it's like, I don't think you can just draft your way out of every mess out of the mess that you're in. But if it's outside the top 2, I think there's a lot of, I look at their defense group and I think they're really far from a solid NHL group, right? You're playing guys like they're a decent insulator, but look, Chicago is drafting really high again. Why? Right? Is it that, like, what are the reasons? And obviously you don't draft based on need. But when I look at the Chicago Blackhawks and I look at what they have in the system, it's not their forwards that they don't have enough of. Like, they have a really young group of defensemen, and I just don't think that they are quite at the point where that's a contending team, that playoff potential team. So to me, in a year where there's actually some really good defensemen available, like, I mean, I think there's a better version of Artyom Levshinov on the market this year in Albert Smits. I think you could get a really solid all around defense first guy that has some good skill in a Malte Gustafsson. I think you could get yourself a number of players. I mean, look, I'm also not on board with Malhotra where other people have him. I think there are way too many question marks, and it just falls into the gamble that I'm making that the Canadian Hockey League is just way, way different and really hard to project to the NHL as it is now. I just think there's so many factors at play where it's like you could be just making a terrible, like not a terrible mistake, but based on the differences that there are now, it is a different universe, and I think you're taking a huge risk. And with Malhotra, like I think there are some gaps in his game that nobody seems to be talking about. I don't know. Could it work? I can't say it won't, but that wouldn't be the avenue that I would go if I'm Chicago. Scouting report on Ignatavicius. Yeah, I mean, we'll be doing a report on him pretty soon, but it's not going to be very exciting. He's a pretty basic player. He's effective at what he does. He is pretty big. He's pretty rangy. He's pretty good off the puck. He's got good instincts. He's a decent forechecker. The thing I think that works for him is that his catch and release shooting is really, really good. He's a smart puck mover. He sees the ice pretty well for a guy playing in the Swiss top division. Do I think he's going to be a huge producer in the NHL or like a revelation for a team? I don't think so. But who knows? I mean, he's got some development room. He is big. He could be stronger. I think a good coach would probably extract a bit more of a heavier physical game out of him, more of a quicker, more aggressive forechecking game out of him. But you hit him with a pass in the neutral zone, he'll probably do something good with it, and try to sort of keep possession. Like, he's a good possession focused player that I think projects pretty easily, but I don't have huge expectations of him being like a top of the lineup type guy, right? Good player though, and he's definitely gotten quite a bit better over the course of the season to my eye. Drance thinks the Canucks will take Reed at 3 if they drop. What do you think about that fit? Personally, would want Verhoff due to the age and strength of the competition. I mean, Reed would be fine. I would probably go a different direction, but Reed is fine. He'd be an acceptable pick there, no problem. The Canucks just, they don't have like anything, right? Like the Canucks, their team is not very good. They've drafted a lot of guys in sort of that 8 to 15 range for a while. I like Willander. I like Lekaramaki, but like they just don't have enough of anything really, in my opinion. So they could go any direction, honestly. And if it's Reed, then it's Reed. I think that would be fine. But if like a Stenberg is there, I would probably want to go with him. My number 3 is, well, I won't say, but not Chase Reed. But Reed is in my top 10 and in a tier that goes that high, so I could see it. And it would make sense. Would you take Victor Eklund or Viggo Bjork? Probably Viggo Bjork, especially because Eklund is also a late birthday from last year. Like, there's just so much more developmental runway with Bjork, and the growth he's had over the last year and a half has been insane. Yeah, I'd probably go Bjork. And Bjork is playing center, which is also a huge plus. And I don't think I would put Eklund in that position. In my keeper fantasy league, I'll be picking first and want to aim for a high-end prospect for the upcoming draft. You take McKenna. Power play producer, you take, yeah, it's McKenna. Take the gamble that isn't that much of a gamble. You take Gavin McKenna. If an NHL coach is not putting Gavin McKenna on the power play, then they should be fired. They should be fired.
Yeah, whenever approaching like fantasy drafts, like with prospects, you just want the guy who's going to score the most points.
Yeah.
Or who has the potential to score the most points. And I think that based on everything that Will has said, McKenna's your guy.
Yeah, it's McKenna pretty clearly to me. How do you create a development environment like Boston or Washington when it comes to prospects or younger players seamlessly fitting into roles on your team? Well, I can't speak to them specifically, but you got the big thing for me is I think there's a big difference between having healthy disagreements with regards to the with how you achieve the goal you're trying to achieve, and having different people who think the goal is different and calling it disagreement achieving a goal. Like, it's, to me, like Lou Lamoriello said one time, and I always really loved this. It's like running a hockey team is kind of like building an orchestra. You can't just have violins in an orchestra. That doesn't work. You need everything. You need a whole, you have an idea of like what orchestra you're trying to make, and here's how you construct it, right? There's this synergy that needs to happen. And what that orchestra looks like, it's kind of up to you. You know, there's tweaks you can make, there's different approaches, you know, whatever. But to me, I feel like there's a lot of people who seem to think that when you're making an orchestra, it's like, well, violins are overrated. Just instead of violins, let's just have a bunch of cello players and add
a ton of bass
and add a bunch of kazoo,
big,
or just like something completely out of left field. We need kazoo players, and it's like, well, I mean, kazoo has its place, you know, it does, but yeah, I don't know, man. You're just gonna end up probably making a weird sounding orchestra, bro. You know, I don't know, but like. So what I'm saying, I guess what I'm saying is like the person who likes the kazoo players might not be necessarily wrong that kazoo is awesome, but it's like for the fit in the orchestra, the fit might not be right. And so I think with what Washington is doing, their version of that orchestra is different to different teams, as is other teams different to theirs. But from the person that is organizing the business side of the orchestra, to the conductor, to the people who are choosing the musicians, to all this other stuff, they all know what the end goal is, it seems, from my perspective. And so for me, it's like if I'm hiring people, if I'm hiring scouts, if I'm a general manager and I'm hiring scouts or coaches or whatever, like I am the leader. If you're the general manager, you are the guy with, or person, you are the person with that guiding arrow, right? You have your vision and you are leaning into it, right? I will hire someone who is like, I want to build a team like this, and I know what that looks like, but this player you want, I don't think I think you might be missing something. And I'll hear that person out. But like, I'm not going to go out and hire someone who's like, I don't want a skilled team. I want toughness because you need toughness to win. And I'm not going to hire him because I'm like, well, he disagrees with me, so it must be a healthy discussion. Like, I just don't think it's a good fit. So there's that like fine line that you have to walk. And I think Washington, I know for a fact Boston, a big thing with them is like the culture of the team. Like they have this like very well ingrained set of expectations amongst the staff and the players that kind of like transcends through generations, right? Like the younger guys are exposed to it with the veterans, and then those guys retire, and the younger guys then become the veterans, and they have that mentality as well. And it's that very ingrained thing. And I know it's not necessarily like, well, they're big and tough and that's their culture. It's not about that. It's like accountability and like holding each other to a standard that is expected to achieve a common goal. Like that's the big thing that in any team that you need to achieve. So,
or in any work environment.
Exactly. Any work environment. Yeah. Like you're not going to put two people who can't stand being in a room with each other, right? But just because they can't stand to be in a room with each other doesn't mean you're going to get a positive effect because they disagree. Like that doesn't make sense to me. Villeneuve is the most talented draftee with the highest ceiling. I'm not sure about his floor. I agree. I think that especially as a defenseman, we might be seeing Xavier Villeneuve highlights for a very long time, folks, because he is quite good. One thing I have with Florida's tactics is that they're analytically inclined when it comes to scouting. They don't prioritize the future state of the team. I personally would say that having 2 Stanley Cup rings makes that a lot easier to deal with. Yeah, I mean, the future state of the team, say what you will, but if I knew that I could win a Stanley Cup, I would, whatever it took, I would do it. I don't know. Even if it meant it, like the problem is teams.
Even if it meant losing Brad Lambert, it would do it.
Yes. if Paul Atreides, again using a Dune reference, sat down with me and said, "You have to trade Brad Lambert if you want to win a Stanley Cup. That's what you have to do."
If God
I'd,
came to
yeah,
Will and said, the only way you win a Stanley Cup is you
trade
get rid of Brad Lambert.
I'd be like, "Yes, okay, all right,
all right,
fair enough." The problem is you don't have that knowledge, but for Florida, it's a lot easier to mess around with the future of the team when you've already won Stanley Cups. Like, it's pretty good. That's a pretty good life, honestly. The MHL playoffs are more competitive than the OHL. I'd have to look into that, but you might. Yeah, you're probably not right, but you're probably on. They're probably comparable, honestly. They're probably comparable. North Bay. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, that's the like the OHL, the CHL is tough. It's tough.
especially this year because they haven't fully adjusted yet, right? Like,
yeah,
with all the talent now going, not all the talent, but like a good chunk of it being able to leave whenever.
Yeah. I did send my list to a couple of scouts that I know, well, a handful, and one of them responded and was just like, simultaneously, this list is absolutely scorching hot, but absolutely 100% defensible. And I was like, I'll take it. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want. Defensible, defensible, but psychotic. That's what I'm aiming for.
That is Will in a nutshell.
It is. I mean, I can defend all of the things that I put out there 100%. I'm not going to put stuff out there that I can't defend. But he mentioned a couple of specific names from his region, and I won't say who or where, but he's like, I think you're bang on, because there are some guys that are relatively high for other people that I do not have there. And he's like, I am all for it. Like, I don't, he's like, and we talked a different person I talked to, he was, because I mentioned we don't talk that often, but I was like, I just think the CHL thing, like, people are lagging on just how much of a change there's been. Like, I just don't think it's the same environment anymore. And I think there's a lot more uncertainty and a lot more questions. And, you watch an OHL game and then you watch a USHL game and a college game, and it's clear the divides that are going on right now. But a lot of people don't do that. And he was like, I think you're on the right track. He's like, you might be a little more extremist than I am on that, but he's like, I think you're right. Like, I think that a lot of guys who are very, very successful in those leagues are gonna have a lot of trouble at higher levels. But then he said something legitimate that I think is real, where he's like, those guys are gonna go to college now, though. Like, they're not gonna go from the OHL or the WHL or whatever to the AHL, right? Like, that's not the trajectory anymore, and that is a good thing. Like, they're gonna have that stepping stone of college hockey in the middle. So he's like, I think that the counter to, like, your thesis about the CHL being not so good anymore is like, right, but then how do they translate to college? And when they translate to college, how do they translate from college to professional? And I think that is something I accept, but I don't know the answer to that. And so I am willing to put my neck out and still be wrong long term and adapt, because I'd be setting aside a lot of stuff that I'm seeing to give a lot of credit to something that I really have not thought too much about. Like, I think there's a lot more uncertainty there's a lot more uncertainty making that assessment and assuming that that's what's going to happen than what you're seeing now, to me, which is a lot of question marks about a lot of these players, and hoping that their trajectory through college is going to do them well, and they're going to get somewhere. So this is the problem with this year and the next couple of seasons, is we're going to see this trend, and it's really hard to make sense of it, because I think the entire landscape has changed in 12 months, and I don't know the answer. I don't think I have all the answers. But I don't know.
Take that, PNHLE.
But at the same time, he was like, I think you're right. Like, he's like, I think a lot of the talent floor in the CHL has just dropped because of college hockey, and a lot of guys. He's like, I know a lot of guys are just not even thinking much about the CHL anymore because of college hockey. Like, college is going to be where it's at, if not this year. Like, it'll be the case for a while. And then he specifically brought up, he's like, you mentioned on the show the other day that there's only that most of the 17-year-olds this millennium who are playing in the NCAA are playing this season. It's like that is something that is surprising. Like you don't even notice it, but then you look and you go, yeah, okay, that's an interesting trend that, you know. And I think, was it 3 more of them were last year? We had Boumedienne, Potter. I don't know, but the point is, it's an interesting world. The
point is, Will wants to highlight an example where somebody thinks he's right because he gets criticized and called a dummy all the time.
Well,
and
whatever.
Some NHL person has some small amount of respect for Will. That's the
There's a handful. There are some. How many teams in the CHL would be ideal? 6. No.
Yeah, my grandfather thinks about the NHL.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, there are how many in the USHL? 12? No, more than that, I think. I think it's more than that. 16. So there are 16 in the USHL. There are 60, I think, in the CHL.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I would think something in the range of 12 to 20. I mean, the smaller the better, right? Because then it creates the hardest competition. You know, if the goal is development, the goal should not be have as many teams as possible. The goal should be make it as concentrated as you physically can and make the quality as high end as you possibly can. So the lower the better. But the problem is that, like, you sound like a tyrant when you throw that out there, because, like, you're basically saying to 40 markets in Canada, like, you can't have your toys. Or you're going, well, we're just going to start up a junior super league in Southern Ontario because that's where most of the money is. And we're just going to have junior teams in the range between, you know, Hamilton, London, and Niagara up through Whitby. And that's literally that's how it's going to go. And everyone else is going to have to deal with that. And you create a whole, I don't know, like that's a whole different thing that hasn't happened, but that, I mean, it would suck for everybody, but it would really help in terms of quality of hockey and development potential, in my opinion. Or you could do that in Montreal, right? Like a Montreal local league with 6 teams in it, an Ontario, Toronto localized league with 6 teams in it, and a Vancouver based team with 6 teams in it. I don't know. In that case, would that help? Probably, but it would be an awful transition for a lot of places in this country that I wouldn't want to put them through. But that's the trouble. That's the rock and a hard place that Canada's kind of in right now developmentally. I personally don't see it as a good thing that a team in the OHL is in the second round of the playoffs and beat another team by 7 goals in game 1. Like, maybe they just had the worst night imaginable, but I think that's a very intriguing little snapshot.
Will, it's our tradition.
It is. Well, that's the trouble, right? Like, that's the problem, is it's a tradition here, and I don't want to take that away from people. I really don't. But it's like it's a problem that I don't know what the answer is.
There is real causation here. It's do we want all these legacy, or not even legacy, but just like all these markets in the CHL? Or do we want the best development system we can have for our players?
I would.
And one's getting sacrificed for the other.
Someone asked about adopting relegation. Honestly, I think North American sports need to adopt relegation across the board, period. Like, I personally think that, yeah, we should have a free market enterprise where if you suck, you play in a different league. I think that would be, and for anybody who says that, imagine the NHL without a team in Toronto or whatever, or Vancouver. The Swedish Hockey League had no teams in Stockholm for, like, how many? 5 years? Something like that? A while. There were
that sounds horrible.
There were it was, but it incentivizes you to try, you know, and it concentrates talent at a really high level, right?
No, it's true.
It's if you want truly high quality sports, that's kind of the clearest angle to go. Where were we here? Thoughts on the Zammoth? I think it's the best thing hockey has done since Gritty.
The Zammoth, that's what we're calling this? That's awesome.
That's what they called it. Yeah, that's what Utah's calling it. The Zammoth. I think it's brilliant. I love it. I hope it never goes away. And yeah, I love it. Themed Zambonis, if that becomes a thing, sign me up. Who's the hippest Lindholm or Beckett Seneca dramatic riser that catches people off guard on draft night? I mean, those are pretty unique. Usually that doesn't happen more often than not, but that's not true. It happens a lot. Well, it's got to be someone who's going to play for a while, so people get to look at them until the very last minute.
And it's got to be somebody who's like going to explode in points at the end of the year.
So that means it's probably Caleb Malhotra, because like a lot of these guys, their season is already over. Ryan Lynn, maybe Daxon Rudolph, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know. It's really tough. Like maybe the under 18s, someone like Wyatt Cullen goes off and goes nuts, and everybody goes, "Whoa, where'd this guy come from?" I mean, the Rucks, it's already sort of happened with them. I don't know. There aren't that many. I don't think there are that many.
They're about to be game tape legends, so I don't care about the stuff.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. They were gracious enough to be on game tape. I love it. But they could be candidates too. Something like that. I don't know. Until GMs think higher of the NCAA than CHL, players should stay in the CHL. I disagree. From the perspective of an agent with a player as my client, I go, who cares what a GM thinks? Just focus on yourself. Why would you want to be in the CHL? What is the point of that? Like, go test yourself. Like, do you want to be the best version, like the best player you could be? Like, obviously, if you're, an OHL third liner, then I would recommend staying in the CHL. But like, if you're the question was about Alexis Joseph. If Joseph is this good, if he's as good as everybody says he is, why would you stay in Quebec or St. John? Like, why would you?
Because it's fun to beat up on weaker competition. Will?
Yeah, sure, but that's not good for your career. I don't think.
No, it's not.
Right. So, and if I'm an agent, that's my goal. Yeah. If I'm an agent, that's my goal. You're not playing. I'm not playing for how much you're going to get in signing bonuses on your entry level deal at 17. I'm playing for how much you're going to make on your first contract when you sign an extension with your NHL team. And I think you're going to be in a much better situation to be good in the NHL quicker if you test yourself and deal with some adversity for once. Because the last thing you want is a 23-year-old who has never dealt with adversity once in their life. Just looking at the Toronto Maple Leafs, Anyway, where were we? I lost my spot again. Typical.
Yep, typical Will.
Typical me. Oh, there it is. The Leafs should trade Robertson for Darnell Nurse. Exactly.
No.
Nailed it. That's exactly right.
No.
Hilarious how Treliving bridged Kachuk, which ran him out of Calgary, then hardballed Johnny Gaudreau, which disgruntled him, lost his job, and was allowed to tear down the Leafs. That is kind of that is how it's gone.
Well, his dad was friends with Larry Tannenbaum, so that's why he got the job.
Yep. Who do you think the Jets should pick if they pick where they're projected to? Where are they projected to pick? Let's see. I'll run a simulator.
I think they should pick your favorite prospect. How's that sound?
Whoever you like. Oh, well, they won the lottery that I just simulated.
Gavin McKenna.
Yeah. No, but their lottery odds are, let's just take a look. So they are slotted in at 9. I mean, I'm partial to Tynan Lawrence. I think Tynan Lawrence would make a great addition to the Jets as
He'd be a great second Brad Lambert that they blue ball and never get
put on the wing and play on the wing forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that range, though, my best player available probably would be Lawrence, and the other name I would consider is Bjork, Viggo Bjork. Depends on who you like. Those two guys I think would be great. Villeneuve. You might be able to trade down.
Not allowed to like players on the Jets. They just end up like blue balling you every time.
If Bjork is
Alphonse Frey.
If Bjork is off the table, and Lawrence, Villeneuve, and Preston are still on the table, I might trade down. I might see what people would offer me for a top 10 pick and see what's available. I don't know. I just play the odds and add a bunch of guys rather than just pick one. Do you ever staunchly go against your own track data to support or deny a player? All the time, man. Like you'll see it in the the write up for the ranking. I guess I could call it the ranking now. Like the write up for my ranking is a ranking. If you
I wouldn't go with that.
No, I wouldn't do that either. It sounds like a slur. It sounds like a slur, right? Like it sounds pretty bad.
It sounds like you're talking about a Reich.
Oh, that. Oh, no. Yeah, we're not going to do that. Yeah, never mind. Forget I said anything. Undo. Yeah. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z.
Yeah.
But the answer to your question is absolutely all the time. But you'll see in the write up for my rankings, you'll see in the rankings that I do go over it a lot. Like I'll talk a lot about the data that I've tracked and where I buy it and where I don't. For example, like Daxon Rudolph is a very, 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 very good player on paper in the track data that I have, but I do not see him on that level whatsoever. A great example of the opposite is Brad Lambert. Like a lot of his data when I tracked him back when he was a draft eligible was very bad. He was one of the worst possession players I tracked and all that stuff. But when you dug into other areas of the data, it showed how valuable he could be, especially when he played center. And that's where I got the conviction on that. But like, there's all kinds of guys that are all over the map. I mean, some I think really accurately encapsulate the player. McKenna, Lawrence, Preston, Bjork. Like a lot of the time, it does make sense. And it's
essentially what Will's saying is, if it makes me look smart, I agree with it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I know in the past I've learned that like maybe I should trust my data a little bit more. Like some guys who do find a way to make it work are guys who do put up really good numbers and data, and then somehow it just works in the NHL. I just don't know how it happens, but it is possible.
You were also lamenting about trusting your gut on Shane Wright.
Yes, earlier today in the Discord server.
I feel like this is a good example to bring
Shane
up.
Wright. Shane Wright is an example of the opposite, where I didn't trust my data and I went against my gut, and I did both. I was like, the data's not very good, and my gut also doesn't like this guy, but he can't be this problematic, can he? And I've learned. I mean, that's partially the reason why I feel the way I feel about players, and my list looks the way it does, because I just go. I have all these different things going on, these percolating things going on, but at the end of the day, you got to make a judgment call. And when my gut is screaming at me that it's like I'm just not having fun watching this guy, yeah, I mean, you got to kind of go with it. And that's why my list kind of ends up looking ridiculous to a lot of people. But the answer to your question is absolutely all the time, yes. Is Villeneuve a scout's best and worst player to champion? Villeneuve hits, the scouts get a raise and praise. Villeneuve misses, the scout gets hated and fired. Possibly. Look, I think if you're drafting Villeneuve, you have to know what you're getting. He can't be a curiosity. You have to believe that he could be a premier offensive defenseman in the NHL, because he could be. Like I would love to draft a Villeneuve, because in my interviews with him, and if I'm coaching him, I go, look, let's play ball here, man. Like, I want to give you let's have an agreement. Right? We have an agreement that you play your brand. Do your thing, man. Like, I'm not going to get in your way. If you want to play with the puck, if you want to attack the net, if you want to drive into the offensive zone and you want to do all that stuff, go for it. I know you can. But we also have to have an agreement that if things are going south or problematic or you're having trouble, I won't completely change how you play, but we're going to have a look at it and see if there's a different line that you need to walk. And if I get the vibe that he's not down for that, and he's just going to be like, nah, I'm just going to do my thing, then I probably would be a little scared. But I think that if I'm a young player and I have a person who wants to coach me and they sit me down and they're like, look, number one, let me get this out of the way, right? And I think this matters a lot to a young person. Like, I believe in that person.
It does.
Right? Like, you sit them down and you're like, I believe in you. I know you can do this. You are a good athlete. You can do this. But
this is what Will said to me, but about being an editor for him. This is how it happened.
It's like, I know you're capable. I know you're smart. I know you can do
it. Look,
AJ,
I know you're good at it. You got to stop just playing EU4, all right? You got to get into
I have belief. There's the belief. I know it's there. It's just
Thank you, sir. I just needed the chance.
It's like, I believe and I think that makes a huge difference. So with Villeneuve, he's a kid. It's like it's like I want to make sure that you are as successful as you can be. If I like, and I always try to take that angle with players when I talk about them, right? It's always about where I think they could go and how they could get there, and how much the last thing I want as a person who's evaluating talent or whatever, if I'm on an NHL team, is drafting someone that I'm not thrilled that I just drafted.
Yeah.
And I think that happens a lot. Like, I think teams kind of a lot of the time at some point in the draft, they just kind of put their feet up and go,
pick a name.
I don't know. Yeah, whatever happens.
I know his dad.
Whereas like the team scouting guys that I have on the list, I sit them down. I go like, holy smokes. Like I really love that I got this guy in the 7th round. And
Will's like all giddy. It's like he's got 7 different date options and he's like excited about all of them.
Sure.
But some of them he's more excited about than others.
Of course. And it's like can I sit them in a room, and if they like, I think that if you have someone who has a perception of being like a so-called like difficult personality and they're 17 or 18 years old, it's like, well, yeah, there is risk there. But like, that's also kind of the point of like being a coach. Like, if you want to coach and develop a young mind or player, it is kind of your job to nurture them and like get them on the right path.
Also find out like in these interview processes as well, like, is it in them? Like, are they capable?
Well, that's the thing.
Of
yeah.
getting to that point.
And if they don't, like, or at least
mentally, and I mean that mentally, like, it's really important.
Or like, or at least do you believe that you can help them get there? Right? Like, do you believe that you're like, this person might be a little bit difficult, but I'm going to give them some rope to try to figure it out. Because
Story of my childhood.
Because if it's like the last thing I want is a player to waste their potential. It's like, I'm not going to assume their potential will be wasted. I think that's foolish, and I think a lot of people do that. But I think you have to have a level of involvement and trust. Like, it's about trust, right? And so, yeah, like with Villeneuve, I'm not saying that like there's problematic stuff in him as a person, but as a player, there are frustrating moments. But like, I would look at it as like, well, let's see how this goes. I'm going to buy on the talent and your abilities, but if I'm willing to let you mess around and play around and do your thing, then you've got to be willing to play ball with a coaching staff that will poke and prod and try to make sure that we get you where you want to be. Like, look at Lane Hudson in Montreal, right? Again, like Martin St. Louis, just some guy, not some guy, he's Martin St. Louis, but like coaching wise, hired out of nowhere. But he's clearly been a very, very good motivator and enabler for their young players. And look at how far they've come.
King.
Exactly. Exactly. Someone mentions the Nikita Filatovs of the world. You got to be careful. I mean, that's true too. But also, like, Doug McLean was not known for his ability to get down on the level of a young person. I mean, I think with the Columbus Blue Jackets in that era, you look at all of the players they drafted: Rostislav Klesla, Alexandre, what was his name? I don't even remember his name. I forget his name, but Filatov, all kinds of stuff. From what I know about Nikita Filatov, like, part of the problem was he was not super keen on being in the weight room, but they kind of just like let him go. And he came to camp like overweight immediately, and then just were like, we're done with this guy. Which is not the right way to do that, right? Like, that's not, like that's not the right pathway, right? That's where development Alexandre Picard, that's his name. And there's all kinds of guys that Columbus drafted really, really high, and when they weren't what they expected right away, like I remember I looked into Derek Brassard, who was a Columbus pick. And when Brassard was in junior hockey, he was elite and internationally elite. Everything was coming up for Brassard in a positive way. And then what happened? I remember going back and looking for tape of him in his rookie season, and the only thing I could find was him fighting. And I'm like, if I'm Columbus, why is he fighting? What are you doing? If I'm coaching a talented, skilled player like Derek Brassard, and I'm like, why aren't you fighting? I think that's disqualifying. But it seems like that was like, it was like they needed to like put other dimensions into his game that weren't there. So like it is possible that a team is just not good at developing and operating players, right? Like it's just like Columbus was bad forever, right? So it's a matter of like, you just have to like, it's psychological. Like you're dealing with young people, and that requires a level of like, I guess humility would be the word, right? Like there's anytime you dig your heels in and go, this generation just doesn't get it, and I'm going to make them tough. It's like you've lost. You're done. You're cooked. The kids are going to cook you. You're gonna get greedied on, and you're gonna, whatever the kids are saying, they're gonna stomp all over you, and you're gonna get left behind, and then you're gonna look like a fool, and the kids are gonna have a worse life because of it, right? Like it's just a matter of cutting the crap and cutting the BS, right? It's pretty wild. It's good times. AJ, I don't know if you saw AJ on Monday, but we did a tier list of every flag in the world at the end of the show.
Oh, no, I didn't.
What's your favorite flag in the world?
I don't know, man.
If you need a minute to go look, you can go. But we had a lot of fun on Monday night doing that. That was fun.
It's tough, man.
Kyrgyzstan.
I like the Nepali flag because it's not a traditional flag.
That was a popular one. That's
a good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah, the shark tooth pattern or whatever.
I'm also biased. I like the Italy flag, but not right now.
We don't need to talk about that. We don't need to rehash that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the comment about someone left a comment about showing clips of Nylander not trying in the defensive zone and thinking he's bad. Exactly, right? Like you gotta look. You gotta.
Because he is.
Yeah,
that's just all you need to know.
Exactly.
Screw you, Nick.
This year's off season, there seems to be a lot more interesting undervalued RFAs than unrestricted free agents. If you were running the Leafs, would you take some shots at the RFAs or just try to find UFAs? It depends. I mean, the problem is that Toronto doesn't have the assets to offer sheet very many guys, and if you're gonna offer sheet, like the thing about an offer sheet is that the opposing team can match it. So if there's an RFA worth having, and you negotiate a contract with that player and they go, I'll sign it, and the penalty for you signing that deal is like a 3rd round pick or whatever it is, and the opposing team actually wants to keep that player, and they go, well, they just did the negotiating for us. We can tolerate that contract, and we can tolerate that contract, and we'll give up a 3rd round pick for it. Sure. Then it doesn't matter. So it
sounds like Sebastian Aho negotiating with Montreal.
Yeah, exactly. Like you need to know, like it just makes it really, really tough. It just makes it really tough because obviously there are RFAs that you probably want to go after, but like usually the RFAs that actually work out as offer sheets are the ones where you offer so much for them that the opposing team is like, you want to give us a 1st and a 2nd round pick for that guy? I guess we'll take that deal because we don't want to spend $8 million on him. Sure, if you want to do that, go now. But like Toronto doesn't have that ability. So you kind of have to, I think if you're Toronto, the smart play is you per dollar make it count by signing just guys that nobody else wants that bring positive value but don't catch your attention. The guys that just kind of float along and just are efficient. Because what Toronto has now is a whole lot of guys who are not very good and also just float along. But you just need to like raise that floor a little bit and maybe something good can happen out of it, right? And I think there are some of the UFAs this year that can do that, right? One of the guys I was curious about was Michael Carcone, but he's signed. Another guy in Utah, I mentioned him earlier, but I do really like how he's played this year, and that's Kailer Yamamoto. Yes, he's on, but that's the thing. Like you have to find the guys where it's like, this guy's probably a positive impact player, even on our 3rd line, and nobody cares because he's 5'6" or 5'7", right? Like that's the kind of path that you have to work through, right? And find those types of case studies, because RFAs, especially with the situation Toronto is in, it's really tough because teams will part with mid-round picks to keep their young players that they like. You're just doing the negotiating for them. So you have to, I don't know. It's possible, but a lot more difficult, I think, than trying to find sort of bargain basement guys that are net positive impact guys that are easy to sort of offer a little bit more for than someone else might want.
It's still so painful to me that they didn't sign Sean Walker.
Sean Walker's a great example, man. He's a good player.
Yeah, like, I was all over it that entire year. I'm just like, please trade for him. Okay, now please sign him.
Yeah.
Like, they signed OEL for the same deal, and that's honestly why I think I hated OEL so much, was because I'm like, this is the opportunity cost.
Yeah.
And I think I'd still take Sean Walker, but I also haven't watched a lot this year. So, but like a guy like Sean Walker is an example. Like, they were talking about him wanting $5 million, and he didn't even get close to that. Right?
Yeah. Something
and I would have been like, no, I'll pay you that. And if that was like if that was way above market value, and I could offer him 4, because what is he on now? Like, he's on a 3.5 by 5, I think.
I think so, something like that.
Yeah, like, I would have done that in a second.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. This person also followed up saying it doesn't have to be offer sheets. It could be trades, and like, I agree. I think you could. I mean, you could. The Leafs do have.
It's really tough.
The Leafs do have the picks to like swap for RFAs, and I would do that. Like, if there's RFAs out there where it's like a third, or like if the Leafs might have 2 third-round picks this year. If I'm the GM and there are RFAs out there and it's like a 3rd and a 4th-round pick to get an RFA that I'm really interested in, I would do it. Absolutely. I just don't know who those guys will be.
Yeah, it's hard to.
Toronto doesn't have the assets, really.
It's also hard to give it like an answer, because it's unclear what is going to be available, like, fully, you know, like what teams are thinking. There's a fog of war that we just can't see through.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah,
that's like, it's really hard to actually come up with a good answer as a result.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Thank you, Strategy Games, for fog of war.
Yeah. Civ 4, Civ 5, yeah.
Civ 5.
Yeah. Excited for James Haggins' debut this weekend. Me as well. What are your expectations for him this year or next? Well, I would expect this year at some point. He plays on a power play. Someone gives him the puck in the face-off circle. He freezes the goalie for a split second and rips a wrist shot over the goalie's shoulder, and it hits the highlight package on Twitter, and everybody loses their mind.
I thought he sucks.
I thought that could happen once, maybe twice. But definitely the first time it happens, it'll be really cool. But I don't expect I don't expect a ton out of him this year, honestly. Whatever he does, he does. I think people are going to notice the speed and the two-way game that he has. At least I hope. But next year, I mean, there's jobs on the Bruins, man, and I think that team is going to be exciting. I think there's definitely a combination of players that you could find with him that he could find a lot of good success.
Yeah, I know a player, but they'll never put him next to him.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe.
No, I like James Haggins. I was only making a reference to something that Will posted.
Yeah. Haggins is going to be good. I loved him when I saw BC this year. I thought he looked awesome.
But he didn't come on game tape, so he sucks.
Oh well. I don't think that was his
fault.
Rule. Though. I don't think that was his fault. I think that was more of a they didn't return our phone call from an organizational perspective, I believe, right? Or am I wrong?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. Usually that's what happens. Teams just don't call. And
I do remember, and I won't air it.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
But it wasn't James Haggins.
Yeah,
it wasn't James Haggins' fault.
Has Malhotra entered top 3 conversation in the playoffs he's having? Not for me, no. We talked about that a bunch of times, though. My issue with the Zameth is it doesn't Zamboni the ice. All it does is ferry people around the ice. That's a good point. That's fair.
Who cares?
That's fair. It's a fair point, but
who cares? We're about decoration here.
Yeah, we desperately want fun stuff in hockey. Hockey should be fun, man. And maybe you know what? How about this? Maybe Utah is trying it out. Utah is going, well, we don't want to coat the Zamboni in the Zameth right now, but maybe next year we'll have a real Zamboni if people like it. Maybe they're workshopping it. They'd rather not retrofit a Zamboni, if they haven't already. Maybe, I don't know. But I'll take it. I want more. Give me you've got a Ducks logo in your thing. I want the entire cast of the old Mighty Ducks cartoon from the 90s personified in like a costume as like entertainment pregame or something. You know, I want to see like more show stuff from hockey teams. That's what I want. I want like, you know, lean into your branding a little bit, make more of a theatric show out of it. And the Zammoth, if that's what it takes, then that's what I'll take. Do you think the Penguins are going to try to get Villeneuve? I don't know if he's. I mean, I think it's possible.
It's very possible.
It's possible, and I believe was he. Could be wrong. I don't think he actually was. I might be mixing him up with a different player, but I don't think he has any ties to the Pittsburgh Penguins AAA system. No, he doesn't. Oh, yes, he does. He played 1 year with the Pittsburgh Penguins AAA team 15U hockey club. So he does have connections to Pittsburgh, and there have been, you know, so it's possible. That said, he just doesn't scratch me. He doesn't scratch the Dubas and Clark gland that I have. He just doesn't quite get there.
Could be though.
I would love it. It would be great.
I don't like. I what I'm about to say is something I've heard from my brother, so I'm not gonna pretend like this is the end all be all. But my brother claims that the Leafs interviewed Lane Hudson like 2 or 3 times, and he thought he was going to be a Leaf. So maybe that was the Dubas Clark split.
Yeah. He said that. Hudson said thought he was going to be a Leaf, didn't he?
Okay, well then, if that's the case,
I think he said he thought Toronto was going to take him.
Okay, well if that's the case, then if this guy models his game after Lane Hudson, and they were that interested, you know,
it's possible.
Not that I'm saying it's confirmed by any means, but I think there's a strong possibility that it happens. And when I say strong possibility, I mean like a 15% chance, because that's about as strong of a possibility as you get in the NHL draft when it's not. We're not talking about like the first 2 or 3 picks.
It would be I think it'd be a great fit regardless.
Absolutely.
I think it'd be a great fit. And I mean, no, I think it would be a great fit.
You can't play Erik Karlsson forever.
Yeah. No, you can't. Or Chris Letang.
Nope.
All right. Did you see that Max Verstappen's racing engineer is leaving Red Bull to join McLaren at the end of his Red Bull contract? Well, that's an interesting turn of events, isn't it? Seems like F1 might look a lot different in a couple of years. And I mean, based on how McLaren's season has gone so far, I will take it because it has been sad. Yeah, the Swedish under-18 team does look incredible with the accent aigu, Felix. I see that. Thoughts on
this? That's a Norwegian.
Yeah, it's a Norwegian. Yeah. Thoughts on the Survivor episode?
It was awesome. I thought that was a really good one.
What? Oh, the episode? Yeah. Oh, yeah. This season might be the best season
in a while. Despite Jeff Probst trying to ruin it.
Oh my god, man, that guy needs to shut up. Let's see. When was the last time I felt this awesome about I mean, Winners at War was amazing. The 40th. That was an amazing season. Yeah,
it's probably been 10 seasons.
I liked
because 41 was a disaster.
44 was good. I liked 44 with Jam Jam and Carolyn and Carson. That trio, that was a fun season. I thought 49. I thought last season was pretty good, but it wasn't
really.
Not last season. Sorry, 48 with Kyle and Eva and
I
Joe.
Like 40. I liked 47 better than 48.
47 was good. Yeah, I liked it.
Wait.
I don't know.
No, I like 46. 46 was awesome. It was pretty good.
36 was good too. I don't know if you saw 36. That was the one where the final vote was a tie and the third place person cast the winning vote. That season rocked.
I probably did see it because I was watching Survivor for like quite consistently until 41 hit, and then I was gone because 41 was terrible.
I'd say
then I came back for 45 because, well, actually, I came back at the end of 45 because you told me it was really good again, or like it was good or good enough again to watch, and I did. And I got back into it, and now I get to watch classic seasons because my work bought some of them for their television network.
One of my favorite moments from the new era of Survivor was from 45, and it was when someone I forget who it was, got blindsided, but the guy who came in third in just as soon as the last vote was announced and they were leaving, he just went, "Whoa!"
Oh yeah.
Whoa! I'm sorry. That guy, Jake, I think his name was. He rocked.
Yes, it was Jake.
But yeah, like it's been. I think it's the most fun I've had watching a season of this show since probably, yeah, straight up end to end so far. 40, like Winners of War, maybe 44. Yeah, no, it's a good one. Where were we here? We're almost at the end here.
Yeah.
For the Leafs, it can be a big leaf pile. The fans jump onto on the ice. Yes.
No, it'll just be Leaf jerseys because they're accustomed to throwing them on the ice.
Yeah. Dodge the Leaf jersey. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, SHL games are more interactive. I agree. I mean, I saw
the European crowds, man. European crowds are way better.
Bro, they've got fireworks when teams score goals in some rinks. They set fireworks off. It's crazy. Is this Scouching streams now, or is this a one-off thing? It works well to Swedish time. Yeah, we do Thursday afternoons every week, 2 p.m. Eastern. So yeah. we're 2 hours and 15 minutes in, but
we're in overtime, as we would.
Yeah, we're in overtime. We're doing 3-on-3 here. We're doing fast end-to-end overtime. A teammate on Zonin like Kindle was with Tanner Howe. Yeah, that works too. That all works. Zonin, good player. AJ, do you have a favorite F1 team?
I don't watch F1, but if Ferrari's in it, then
they are.
Ferrari.
They're okay. They're doing all right. Ferrari.
I'm Italian. I have to rep Italian.
Their car this year is pretty ugly, in my opinion. I think they made a pretty ugly looking car. The HP sponsorship they have made the car very white, and I don't like it.
What? House of Parliament steak sauce?
No, Hewlett Packard. Although the steak sauce would be very fun.
Yeah.
I would love it if HP also had the.
Yeah, I have an HP laptop.
Yeah.
But the first brand I thought of was the steak sauce.
We're sponsored by Sauce. Sauce. Oh my God,
we got the sauce.
Yeah.
We got the sauce.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the end. Speaking of overtime, we're going to call it. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll be back Monday night at 8 p.m. AJ, are you joining us Monday night or no?
No, because I have to go to bed at 9 p.m. So
all right. Well, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you'll just get me Monday night. The rankings, that'll almost certainly be the rankings day that they drop. Again, if you're already a subscriber at scouching.ca, you can access them now. You'll also access the report that's coming out tomorrow. You'll also get access to all of the reports coming next week as soon as they're done. And that's about all the housekeeping. And then our rankings.
Yeah, I'm going to be gone for like 3 weeks.
Okay, well there it is, 3 weeks.
because my work schedule, I'm overnight 2 weeks. So can't really do the stream if I have to be at work.
Right.
Or sleep.
If you are a subscriber at any tier, you'll also get access to our Discord server where we do office hours. We're doing a big one tomorrow. I'll be going pretty much all day in there. So if you want to, I've got a lot of guys to catch up on. So if you want, you can come on down. We'll watch some tapes, see some stuff, and look through some stuff, and build some takes. Build our arsenal of takes for the rest of the year. So
yeah, and it'll be an echo chamber of whatever Will wants us to believe.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody disagrees with me in that Discord server ever. Not once. Not one time ever. No.
Not one time.
All we do is just talk about the same players and how good they are all the time. That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Really boring Discord.
Really boring. Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. This was a lot of fun. We'll see you Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you then. AJ, parting words or no?
Take care. I love you all, and please, can the Toronto Maple Leafs be good soon? Please.
We're almost done. The season's almost over. The pain is almost over for a couple of months, and we get to watch the playoffs. Get to watch the playoffs with no horse in the race. Isn't that fun? That'll be kind of fun.
Will I get to watch the playoffs? I'm overnight.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Actually, no. I will get to watch the playoffs. That's all I'll be doing.
Put earbuds in and listen for a bit. I don't know. Listen to radio. I don't know. Well, whatever. Anyway, thanks for watching. That's all for today. See you Monday night.
And I'll see you when I see you guys.
Yes. Bye.